Hello, Drake Hawkins, Musically Optimistic here, and today I am doing the next installation of my discography rank series by ranking Trippie Redd's discography from worst to best, in my opinion. Hi, Editing Drake here. I noticed a little bit into the video that I did not turn on the fucking ring light, so the lighting is shit. At random points in the video, I tried color correcting it as best as I can, but at random points in the video, the colors will just look like shit. It just won't look that good. So, but for the most of the video, it's fine, so I decided to leave it in, so yeah. And up to this point in the series, we have ranked only the studio albums. However, with Trippie, he has 5 studio albums, 4 mixtapes, and 1 deluxe album, and I am doing all of it. Because for Trippie, his discography is one of the most hit and miss and all over the place ones that you're going to find out there, and I think it is very much essential to cover not only his big commercial releases, but also his more low risk and overly bloated 25-track mixtapes. And so yeah, without any further ado, we're going to start this list, and at number 10, I have his newest project as of recording right now, his 2023 album, Mansion Music. This is really his big rage music statement after his 2021 record, Trip at Night. And yeah, if you've seen my review of this album, you know I think it is unbearable. It is absolutely awful. There's almost nothing redeeming about it. Like, this is one of the few albums that actually makes me feel dumber when I'm listening to it. Not because anything is so out of pocket or anything is just so bombastic and just is so catchy and just so mind-numbing. It's just because this album just feels devoid of anything. Devoid of any character, devoid of any catchy instrumentals, devoid of any catchy beats. I just realized that the ring light's not on. Trippie has some of his worst lyrics ever on this project. It's bloated as hell with features, bloated as hell with unoriginal ideas. This is just 25 tracks of just nothing. I guess watch my review for more in-depth analysis of this record, but yeah, as you can see, I do not enjoy it much at all. And then next, at number 9, Trippie Redd's sophomore mixtape, A Love Letter to You 2. This one is almost just as hard to listen to as Mansion Music for me. However, I think that there are some creative ideas, and the mixing is slightly better. No. One of the main things that drags this down for me is the mixing and the vocal processing, because there are points like Dead Man's Wonderland or whatever, where the vocals will go along and it sounds like they're tripping over themselves. Like, it sounds like the vocals were dragged and dropped to be on the beat directly, and it feels very detached and very odd. And like, I do like the overall vibe and melody of Dead Man's Wonderland, but it's that vocal processing that really ruins the track for me and makes it kind of unbearable. There are of course highlights like the more lyrical track Hellboy, but overall it's not enough to save this project. And at number 8, I have the aforementioned Trip at Night. I'm not a big fan of this much at all. It has absolute bangers like Miss the Rage with Playboi Carti, Betrayal with Drake. This is really Trippie dipping his toes into the rage waters, and I think it's okay, but same way that pop punk is with some people, it seems like rage music is just one of those things that doesn't matter who does it. I fucking hate it. A lot of the beats on here just feel kind of copy-paste, and Trippie's deliveries aren't really the most entertaining or mind-bending things out there. Matt Hardy 999 is a pretty dang good song, though. That Trippie and Juice banger shit that I just said just reminded me of Juice's fucking feature on Mansion Music, and it's been 4 years. Number 7, I have Trippie Redd's sophomore full-length album, ! Named in dedication of XXXTentacion with his question mark project. This is kind of Trippie going in like a sort of electronic pop direction, I think. At some points he does his acoustic emo folk thing. At some points he's just doing standard trap rap. This album is really all over the place and very hit and miss because of that. Like, if it focused more on one sound, I could pin down this album and tell you like what you can expect me to go into it, but because it's all over the place and jumbling so many different sounds and failing at some, succeeding at others, failing at the same sound later on in the album, I can't really recommend this because it's not awful. But it's just so all over the place and unpredictable that it's not really a good place for anyone to start. Like, I love the opening title track of this project, but it stops suddenly out of nowhere. I really love the sort of radio pop electronic groove that it has. But then immediately after that, it goes into like uplifting emo trap or something. Don't commit no suicide. And then on the direct next track, he says, if you're not being yourself, kill yourself. Like, that's also one of the biggest blunders of this album. The lyrics suck. And for the most part in Trippie Redd's discography, he doesn't have a whole lot of special lyrics in the first place, but it's like, there are so many lyrical inconsistencies and just oddballs that will just throw you for a loop on this project. My favorite tracks from this one are the title track and Keep Your Head Up. And then at number 6, I have Trippie Redd's debut mixtape, Trippie Redd's debut project, A Love Letter to You. This tape pretty much opens up with the track that blew him up, Love Scars, which is an absolute banger, even after all this time. It still has one of the hardest instrumentals and vocal performances Trippie has done to date, and this shit came out in 2017. The biggest drawbacks of these tracks can be his over-the-top vocal performances and some of the mixing, and you can tell he's just starting out. It's a good, decent first project. The one track that I will say is very much overrated on here is Can You Rap Like Me? And it's not bad. It's just, it feels so generic and nondescript. Like, if he was doing that lyrical spiritual miracle bullshit at the beginning of this song on like a trap beat, everyone would say it's garbage, but because he's doing it over a 90s boom bap type beat, it's fire and hard as shit. Like, it's okay. One of my favorite tracks on this project, Limitless, is so damn good. Trippie provides one of his best performances to date. Like, there's so much vocal charisma. It's so catchy. It's just so ear-grabbing and just... But after that second chorus, this feature who is unnamed on Spotify, I might be able to find who it is on fucking Wikipedia. I'm assuming they stopped rapping, but whoever this feature is just completely does not match Trippie's energy at all. He just provides such a weak verse in comparison, and it's one of the few things dragging the song down for me, because up to that point, it is a flawless track. Other highlights include Love Scars 2. I'm pretty sure there was another, but I can't remember. Oh yeah, It Takes Time. At number 5, I have Pegasus. This is widely talked about to be like his worst project or one of his worst, but personally, I think it is a pretty decent project. Yeah, it doesn't need to be as long as it is, but I mean, Mansion Music is getting praise, and it's about the same fucking length. Actually, I think it's a couple minutes longer. However, unlike Mansion Music, this has catchy songwriting, nice production, and really good vocal performances. Whether it's him belting his heart out on Moonlight, him doing a good Playboi Carti impression on Good Morning. Mamiti, good morning. Like, most of this album is really well done. Sure, there are forgettable tracks, like the one with Chris Brown and the one with Rich the Kid. I can't remember what either of them sound like, honestly. But I think there are more hits than misses on this one, and I think it's pretty okay. It's certainly not a 1 out of 10, Mr. Fantanano. Like, how are you going to praise Mansion Music and shit on this? It doesn't make any sense to me, but okay. At number 4, I have the other half of this coin, Neon Shark versus Pegasus. This album came out during the whole deluxe edition craze that Eternal Atake and Lil Uzi Vert versus the World 2 caused, pretty much making a deluxe edition of an album that is in its own entire album. However, this is also capitalizing on the whole pop punk trend that was going on, and it's still going on to this day. And this is 14 tracks of Trippie Redd doing his own pop punk thing, produced by Travis Barker, and honestly, it's not bad. Sure, it doesn't go crazy hard or anything. In fact, the one banger on this project, Dead Desert, is awful. It really doesn't help that it features Scarlord, one of the guys in trap metal, that basically demonstrates why that's a dead genre, why it is so uncreative, because when you think of trap metal, like mixing metal with trap, that's pretty much what you think of. You think of Scarlord, and it's so generic and so by the numbers that it's... Zillakami is decent on the track, but I mean, it's not enough to save it. There are great vocal performances on this, like Leaders and the opening track, Pillbreaker. And really, overall, I think that this is just a pretty nice vibe of an album. It's nothing mind-blowing. It's nothing offensive. It's just fine. In fact, out of the pop punk resurgence albums that I have heard, this is probably one of the best ones. Although that's probably not saying much. And so yeah, kicking off our top 3, I put A Love Letter to You 4, the newest edition of the Love Letter to You series as recording of this. However, on Album of the Year, it says that there's going to be a Love Letter to You 5 coming this year. I hope it's not Mansion Music Part 2. But yeah, this mixtape, bloated as shit. Does not need to be as long as it is. And then there's a deluxe version with tracks on like 5-6 more tracks. I mean, it's not as bad as Pegasus's deluxe version, but it also came out before the whole deluxe trend. So, thank God. Because at least some of those deluxe tracks are good, like that track with Chance the Rapper, especially with Chance coming right off of The Big Day. It was somewhat nice to see Chance not sound like utter garbage. As you can tell by the title, there's a whole lot of love songs on this one, like Who Needs Love, Lovesick. I can't remember what the track that comes right after Who Needs Love is called, and that's one of the better tracks on this project. Into the second half of the project, it goes into banger territory. You have Death with the Baby, The Grinch, you have RMP. Wait, that's not a banger at all. Richard Millie Plain, Richard Millie Plain. That song is fucking awful. Bust Down Yeah, featuring some French rapper. Pretty damn cool. Like the juxtaposition between their two deliveries is really weird, but it honestly kind of works. The Jungle Book featuring Lil Wop is one of the worst tracks that Trippie has put out ever. Like, Lil Wop sounds awful, and then it's a beat from Murda Beats, and I hate Murda Beats. His beats are awful, fucking egregious. Like, the only good thing that I've heard from Murda Beats is that Nice for What beat that he did for Drake. Lil Wop's grimy ass, almost cancer-stricken throat delivery does not mesh well with Trippie Redd's big boy voice. So it really is just a clusterfuck of noise, and I do not like it. And then the last few tracks that close out the album, like Abandoned, I can't remember any other titles right now. Fucking hell. The tracks that close out this album are really solid and serene and really make up for whatever lacklusterness is in the banger territory, because that's really where the low points of the album are. Editing this video, I just noticed that I said that the final 3 tracks on Love Letter to You 4 were very soft and whatever, but no. Can You Rap Like Me Part 2 is literally the track that closes out the whole mixtape, and it is not soft and serene. It features Chris King or whatever, who takes up a majority of the track, but I think him and Trippie really do a great job. It's really more of Chris's track, and Chris does a fantastic-ass verse. Trippie just kind of does a little bit of this and that, and then just hands it off over to him to go over this great-ass beat. But yeah, definitely a fantastic track to close off the album. But yeah, Abandoned and Chosen, great tracks. Number 2. Trippie Redd's 2018 debut studio album, Life's a Trip. Should be no surprise that it's up this high. I'd say most people who listen to music would say that this is probably where he peaked. Not this album, but 2018. This project, as well as the one at number 1, is really just a bunch of tracks, no filler, no squandered potential. It's just really straightforward, well-written emo trap bangers. Sure, the tracks on this one can kind of meander, and this is more of an album experience more than a singular track. Like, there are some tracks in this one, i.e. the closer, which you can't really take out of context because they're just so dreamy and atmospheric that they kind of lull you into this sort of trance that it can't really be experienced on its own. You have to listen to the entire project to sort of appreciate the vibe and the sort of thing that it's going for. And therefore, this one is kind of a little brought down by that. Not entirely by much, because the songwriting is still great. Vocal performances are still great. Like, Dark Knight Demo on here goes absolutely fucking hard. It is a banger and a half. And Taking a Walk is really nice. No wonder it's still one of Trippie's biggest hits to this day. In other words, this album is just him capitalizing on the potential that he showed up to this point. And then with his next project, A Love Letter to You 3, he takes that success and runs 10 miles with it. This is 16 tracks, and there's not one skip on here. Like, this is just dumb, fun, great songwriting, great vocal performances. The production is on point. From the opening track, Topanga, you can tell that this is going to be a very gorgeous experience. Don't talk to strangers, since a youngin' I've been told him bang. Like, the vocal line on this track is so damn catchy. And then that sample of it so damn good. The highlights don't end there, of course. You have great features from Young Boy, from Juice WRLD. You have these great low-key tracks like Toxic. All around, there's this very consistent, great energy to this project that Trippie just, to this day, has not been able to replicate, and for some reason doesn't seem to want to, which is fine. I mean, I guess I get why people want to put out like fucking 30-track albums. That gets them more money, more streams. Oh, look, instead of putting out a 10-track album that people listen to once per track and only get 10 streams, I put out a 30-track album, people listen to all of it once, and I get 30 streams. Oh, wow, double the money. That's actually triple, but who cares? And yeah, that's my entire list. That's how I would rank Trippie Redd's discography. Let me know how you would rank it down below in the comments. Let me know if my opinion is wrong. Let me know if I should go to a mental hospital because I am completely deranged and I'm changing my medications. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this topic. That Trippie Redd's discography has been ranked, and that's all I have to say. Bye!